Hello, algebra students. Mr. Lawrence here, and I put this video together for you because I want you to do your best. Now, I'm a little concerned because some of you are blowing off these problems because you think they're hard. Okay? If you avoid the problem, it will not go away. You guys are great kids. You're smart. I care a lot about you. I'm going to go on a limb and tell you I love you because I do, and I want you to succeed. So you can't run away from this problem. Okay, now by the way, I was talking to a parent. They told me their son said, well, it doesn't matter because I don't get points for homework. Well, one, that's not true. And two, it does matter because homework is where you master the material. It's where you practice. Okay, the test is where you demonstrate your mastery. If you blow off the homework, I guarantee you low scores on the test. Enough said about that. All right, so let's check out this problem. By the way, you'll notice the cool space age sound effect that I put on this. Hopefully it's loud enough for you. All right, Benny has 60 coins. The coins are all nickels or quarters. The value of the coins is $10.60. Write and solve a system of linear equations to determine how many quarters and nickels Benny has. Well, let's see here. The first thing I want to do is identify what it is I'm asked to find. Well, it says right here, how many quarters, right, and how many nickels. So now I can go ahead and define my variables. Now many of you, I'm surprised, but you want to stay with just x and y. Great, let's do that. If I were doing it myself, I would do q and n, but let's do x and y. So we're going to let x be, I'll bet Nikki can tell me. Hopefully Nikki didn't say quarters. It's not the quarters, it's the number of quarters, or amount of quarters, as Adelie likes to say. Okay, not the number and amount, sorry about that. Started thinking about it and then I wrote them both. Okay, the number of quarters. Okay, and then of course y would be the number of nickels. And did I forget to write quarters? I sure did. Silly Mr. Lawrence. Okay. All right, now, what two pieces of information do they give us in the story? Well, first off, they give us 60 coins. There's a total of 60 coins. And secondly, they give us $10.60. My first equation is going to involve the 60 coins. And it just so happens that I let x be the number of quarters and y be the number of nickels. If I put those together, they have to equal 60. My first equation is x plus y equals 60. Now, my second equation is going to build to the $10.60. It's got to equal 1060. But how am I going to get the 1060? Should I just add x and y? Well, that doesn't really make sense because x is the number of quarters. If I take the number of quarters, I don't get the value, I just get how many quarters I have. Like, if I have 10 quarters, is that like having $10? No, of course not. That'd be ridiculous. So, let's think about this here. If we had 1 quarter, we would have 25 cents. 2 quarters would be 50 cents, right? 3 quarters, 75. But what if we had 12 quarters? How much money would we have then? Well, couldn't we take the number 12 and multiply it by 0.25, right? And I'm going to let you go ahead and do that. But if you do it, you should end up with 3. In other words, $3. Okay? So, to get the money from the quarters, I'm going to take the value of the quarter, 25 cents, and I'm going to multiply it by the number of quarters, x. And then to get the money from the nickels, I'm going to take the value of the nickel, which is 5 cents, and I'm going to multiply by the number of nickels, which I don't know, but we're calling it y. And there's your system. Now, the beautiful thing about this is you can replay this to further explain. You know, you can't make me repeat too many times in class, but you can replay my voice over and over and over again in this video. So this is the value of a quarter, right? And x is the number of the quarters, like if there's 10 quarters or 15 or etc. So now that I have this problem, now I have two choices. I can go substitution or I can go elimination. Well, I'm going to go substitution. And I think I'm going to solve for y. So I'm going to get y alone, and y is going to equal 60 minus x. I didn't show it. Okay, you go ahead and show it if you like. Now I'm ready to substitute. I'm going to put this into this blue equation here in y's place. So I'm going to have 25 hundredths x plus 0.05, and then I've got to multiply that 0.05, that 5 cents, by the quantity of 60 minus x. Okay. And then that's going to equal $10.60. All I did was substitute. So now I'm going to distribute here, right? And so I'm going to get 25 hundredths x plus 5% of 60. Well, 10% would be 6, so 5% would be half of that, would be 3. And then that would be minus 5 hundredths x. And that'll equal $10.60. Now I notice that I have some like terms. So I'm going to combine my like terms. I've got this term here and this term here. All right. So let's see here. Oops. All right. So a quarter minus a nickel would be 20 cents. X plus 3. And that's going to equal $10.60. And now I'm going to subtract 3 from each side. And when I do that, I'm going to get $20 x equal to $7.60. And I could do long division, but in the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and just get up my calculator, because I know I'm going to divide each side by 20 hundredths. So I'm going to have $7.60 divided by 20 hundredths, and that's going to equal 38. Okay, so x equals 38. X equals 38, and so that means I have 38 quarters. Now, because I solved for y in that green equation up there, I can take that green equation right there. Maybe I'll change to green to do this. And I'm going to go y equals 60 minus 38. And so therefore y is going to equal 22. 60 minus 38 is 22. So I'm not done with the problem because I haven't written a sentence yet. And I'm going to say there are, I don't know why that's so big, or it's at the bottom of the screen, but let me move it up here. Oops, what you doing? There we go. Get it up there a little bit. Okay, there are 38 quarters and 22 nickels. All right, if you wanted to check it, you could multiply 38 by 25 hundredths, add the product of 22 times 5 hundredths, and it should equal $10.60. All right, now this is done the same way in a chemistry problem. The only difference is right here. And let me show you. Let me get a highlighter out here. In a chemistry problem, we wouldn't have this 1060 automatically there. In the chemistry problem, we would be consistent and multiply the percentage times the total, if it was gallons or pounds or whatever the case may be. All right, let's look at another example here. Yikes, what the hookah waka is that? Let me see here. It looks like the problem is teeny tiny. Oh, okay, there's a little bit better. So it says Julie needs 100 gallons of a 30% hydrochloric acid solution. On hand, she has a vat of 25% hydrochloric acid and a vat of 50% hydrochloric acid. Write and solve a system of linear equations to determine how many gallons from each vat she should use to create the desired solution. So I'm going to go looking for my variables. Let's see, I need to write and solve a system of linear equations to determine how many gallons. So I need to know how many gallons of the 25% solution or VAT, and how many gallons she's going to use from the 50% VAT, right? From each VAT. You see that? So now I'm ready to write or define my variables. So let's see here. Where's my pen? Oh dear, my pen is not working. Oh, no wonder, I'm on the wrong thing, silly me. Whoa, it worked that time, didn't it? Alright, so I'm going to say let X be the gallons of the 25% solution, or acid in this case. And then Y is going to be the gallons of 50% solution, or acid. Okay. Now I'm told I have 100 gallons. See it right there? So I'm going to write my first equation. And I'm going to write X plus Y equals 100. Okay? Just like in the coin problem. Now, this part is just like the coin problem too, except that one change I made, or mentioned, excuse me. I'm going to take the 25% hydrochloric acid, so 25%, 25 hundredths, times the gallons of that solution. Well, that would be X. I'm going to add the 50% solution to it. How many gallons are there? There's Y gallons of that. That has to equal, and this is where it's different than the coin problem. In the coin problem, I had a set value of money. And this one, I have a total gallons and a total percentage. So I'm going to be consistent. I did percent times gallons plus percent times gallons, and I'm going to do percent times gallons. All right, and I'm going to cross that out there. Okay, because I know that 30% of 100 is 30. So now I'm going to go ahead and do substitution. I love substitution on these. I'm going to do Y equal to 100 minus X. So I'm going to take this equation. I'm going to go 25 hundredths X plus 50 hundredths times the quantity of 100 minus X, and then that is going to have to equal 30. That doesn't look very much like a 30. Sorry, I'm having some airliner trouble here. Let me make that look more like a 30. Looks like a 32 right now, and I don't want to confuse anybody. Okay, so let me make that look like a 30. All right, so now I'm going to distribute. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so I'm going to get 25 hundredths X plus 50 hundredths times 100 would be 50 minus 50 hundredths X. That has to equal 30. Again, I'm having trouble with that. All right, that looks better. Okay, so I've got some like terms there. You see them? Okay, there's a like term here and a like term here. So I've got to put them together. And that's going to give me a negative 25 hundredths X plus 50 equals 30. I'm going to subtract 50 from both sides. And I'm going to bring my work over here because I'm running out of room. Negative 25 hundredths X, and that's going to equal negative 20. I'm going to divide by negative 25 hundredths. And in my head, I know that's the same as multiplying by 4. So I'm going to get X equals 80. So in other words, I need 80 gallons of the 25% solution. Okay, well, if y equals 100 minus x, that would be 100 minus 80, or 20. So now I can say that the person needs, who is it? Julie. So let me get ready to type my sentence here. Julie needs 80 gallons of the 20% solution, or was it 25? I can't remember. Looks like it was 25. Yep. So of the 25% solution and 20 gallons of the 50% solution. And there you go. All right, this should be pretty easy. Look, if you're still struggling with it, I expect to see you Friday after school. All right, Mr. Lawrence signing off. Have a good night, everybody.